So I quit my job. Actually, I quit 2 jobs in a year. But before you go ahead and judge, I'm going to go ahead and stop you there. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and then I'll tell you why. So I quit my job. Actually, 2. Let me give you some background so that we can remain non-judgmental, okay? So I had a job for about 2 years. And it seemed promising at first. And then I started to notice that the environment wasn't fitting and that I wasn't valued. And then there was some other things that were happening, and I was just like, I don't know how much longer I can actually do this. But I had a plan. I was speaking to God. I was like, okay, what do I need to do? And I felt like he was giving me the direction, but I was a little nervous about it because the direction that he was giving me was different than what I saw for myself. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try to, I did what a good grandbaby would do, which is what? I stuck it out. And I looked up all the different ways to sustain while you are in a position or a seat where you no longer can take it anymore. Basically, right? Because you're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to make sure that you keep good, networking connections, that your resume doesn't look like a list of expiration dates. Okay? You want to be fruitful, okay? You want to grow your roots. You want to do all the above. And I tried. And it didn't work. I even tried the thing that they said to do about the quiet quitting, and all it equated to was that I was silently suffering. So I had to go back to myself. I was like, God, I have been at worse positions. I have been in companies that were probably not the most ideal. Why is it that I just feel like the grace, the buffer of me sustaining is no longer there? I was feeling every element of what was going on. And for me, now hindsight being 2020, the litmus test to God trying to move you somewhere that you're kind of trying not to be all the way obedient is you start to feel it. Because I truly believe that when God's calling you to do something and you are in between that, he gives you a buffer to kind of cover you from the elements. It's almost like I feel like God is like an umbrella. Like I see it's raining, but because I'm under the umbrella of grace, I'm not necessarily getting saturated, right? But I feel like when you're out of his alignment and you're kind of sort of being obedience, the umbrella starts to shift where he wants you to go, not where you prefer to stay. So I was like, okay, I was getting saturated with the toxic environment, saturated with it couldn't have been any blatantly clearer that I was undervalued. And I'm like, okay, so how much longer, God? He's like, I don't know, you tell me. I was like, okay. But I had a plan, right? I said, I will go back to my previous job because prior to the panorama, 2019-ish, I went ahead and I'm saying COVID, but I'm trying not to say it. But I had a job 2019 where I was working at home. And I kicked myself. Once 2020 came, I was like, bruh, had I stayed a couple of more months, I wouldn't have had to worry about wearing masks outside and all that, because I was at that job that was permanently working from home for like 5-6 years. So I'm like, so it always played in the back of my mind, dang, you should have stayed. It's the job that you didn't have to deal with the office crap because you were at home. It was the job that you didn't have to worry about getting up early for traffic and inclement weather because you were at home. So silently, that was something that was making me feel like maybe I should go back. So I did what any good grandbaby would do. When I quit the first job, because you know how we go ahead and plan like, okay, so I'm going to quit that job and then I'm going to start the new one just to give you like a little bit of break in between. That's exactly what I did. And because I knew the second job in their hiring process, I was like, okay, they usually hire people on payroll. So either the 15th or the 30th. Cool. I'm going to quit this job at the end of the month, and then I'm going to go ahead and start the new job on the 15th. Bet. Got a plan. Bet. God was like, oh, okay, so you want to play that game? Cool. When the woman called me back to tell me I had the job, I already knew. I was like, okay, so the 15th, right? She was like, oh, no, ma'am, that's not going to give me enough time to get everything together for your offer package. We're going to start you on the 1st. I said, this month? She was like, no, the following month. Bruh, I quit the end of April, the first job. I was not hired for the new job until June 1. I was like, ooh, crisis of, okay, Houston, is there a Houston? We have a problem. Like, that was just not it, right? But let me tell you what God was low-key doing. Having that month off to see what life could look like, to see that I could be in a creative space, to see that my day can be controlled with the pace that I chose, to see that when something interests me, I felt this new level of being alive, to see all these other different things that I never got to see. Because let me explain something to you. This grandbaby, I have been working since I was able to get my working papers in middle school. Immediately upon turning 13, my mother was like, and go get your working papers. So I was doing a little summer youth programs, in my community and things like that. Got my first real big girl job, McDonald's. Shouts out to them. Okay. And so 17, I was working, and I have been working ever since. Just wanted to make sure that you got that. And so I never had an opportunity to break. Because then it was high school, then it was college, and then I was working through college, and then you start to go ahead and make big girl decisions. So now you got a car, you got to work. Oh, now you got your own apartment, you got to work. Oh, now you got kids, you got to work. Okay, now you got... And it was always this theme that was just like, I never got an opportunity to stop and say, do you like what you're doing? Do you like where you're at? Is this sustainable? Is this pace doing something to you? I completely didn't pay attention to certain environments and paces, and the fast-paced environment was making me sick, literally. Like taking medications, going to ERs, having migraines that I can't seem to have dissipate. All these other different things that will come on. Having insomnia all of a sudden. Like, what? Let me explain something to you. I love sleep like I love cheese, okay? And there should be no reason why at night I'm like, okay, turn off. That I actually did not know how to just relax. Like and when I look back now, there were certain signs that was like, do you not understand that you are putting yourself in positions that are poisonous to your soul? Everybody else may be okay. And that was the problem. I'm looking at people, I'm like, this don't bother you? Y'all cool with this workload? Y'all cool with her talking like that? Why does your supervisor speak? And so I'm looking at all the things that I am innately sensitive to, but I was trying to make myself desensitized to because I had to. I had to work. And let me explain something to you. What God did for me, giving me that break, I could never. First of all, I would have never. 30 days off? Excuse me. We got a financial plan in place. We got things we need to do. Like 2 weeks is cool, but we need to be on. Like, I need you, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, we wouldn't have planned that on purpose, but God did for my purpose. And I had a shift in my palette and what work should feel like. And what I feel like when I'm actually creatively in a space that I'm working in what I was purposed and called to work in. That I actually had to see, like, oh, I feel well rested. That my body mechanics started changing, aka a little TMI disclaimer, that my womanly cycle started going back to being regular. That the headaches that I used to have, they were no longer. Like, literally within, real talk, because I do a lot of things, I ain't gonna lie to myself. I was like, wait a minute, I cannot deny the change that I actually see in this particular space being made. So I start the second job. Cool. As soon as I started working, I was like, this feels off. Again, started feeling that irritation, agitation. How come things are done like this? This process doesn't make any sense. Hold on, can I say something? Why do you do it this way? Wait a minute, like, I don't... we didn't retain. Are you retaining something? You know, trying to get to a space that it's like, this doesn't make any sense to me. This is not filling me. This is not leading me to where I feel like I could do. It's not sustainable, right? So here we go. I tried my best all June, all July. August came, I was like, ooh. And so I slowly was feeling the nudge, like, you need to leave. I was like, okay, but no. Because now, let me explain something to you about life. It's never a convenient time. Never. Because where you feel like you had to, what's more had to now that I have bigger bills and bigger responsibilities and a baby in college? Yes, very much. Do you understand? So it was not convenient. It was not the best time. I did not feel the most prepared, but I could not deny that I had a palate for something different, and God allowed me to taste something different, and I cannot experience that different and then go someplace where it's to my detriment. I could not do it. So I did what only a good grandbaby would do. I did what Peter did when he was on a boat. Said, Jesus, if that's you, can't really see, I'm a little scared, literally. If that's you, call me and tell me to come out the boat to you. And that's what I did. And I literally said, I would have loved to see like the inception of somebody doing this and what this looks like. Because I'm going to explain something to you. I am scaring prior versions of me. I am literally scaring prior versions of me. Prior versions of me would have been like, ma'am, because let me tell you something about this grandbaby. I am planned. Okay, I got plans 10 years from now. Do you understand that? I am in all the way over there. I'm actually at my retirement. I actually have presents for my grandbabies that's not here yet. So to do this, that's how I knew for sure litmus test. This is not me. And what happened, what God allowed to happen is the fear and the worry and the what if turned and upgraded to, God, you telling me to do this. Like, he gave me a confidence that was like, wait a minute, because for the last, I want to say 60 days, he's been working on my faith. When Peter walked out the boat and did the most bravest thing any disciple could have done, when he started to sink, because he diverted his attention to the waves and the winds, when Jesus went to pick him up, immediately, Jesus asked Peter, why did you doubt me? And I was like, if Peter sank, why did you look at that like he doubted you? And it's literally because if you ask me, if this is me, and then you do the brave thing of coming out the boat, quitting the job, getting out the relationship, all the above, and then you start to walk to me, but you divert your attention to like, oh, the bills. But wait a minute, I need, and all the other earthly external things that is competing for your attention. That means that you looked at these things and you started to sink when you should have been shifting your focus to me, and you would have walked. I was like, okay, I got it. So I quit. 8/27/2022. And I'm about, what's this, 2 weeks in? And I could tell you something. I am eerily curious to how this is going to look in a year. I am eerily curious about where I am going to be in a year. Because it's like I'm standing in expectation, but not with a cockiness, with the like, no, God, I believe you. Like a whole different shift in my faith. I believe you. And I would have never done this in and of myself. So it's showing that I trust you. And I know the bills are due. And I know that I have big girl bills. You know that I have big girl bills. This is how I talk to God. You know what it is, sir, right? And he's like, okay. And I heard something 2 days ago that absolutely solidified I'm good. I was watching Torrey Roberts and Sarah Jakes Roberts, right? He has a book out called Balance, which I actually want to read now that I'm thinking about it, but let's stay focused. And the interviewer asked him, what happens, and I'm paraphrasing, what happens when someone has to make a decision to kind of pull back and kind of emphasize on rest if it requires them losing money or an opportunity. And Torrey Roberts said the following, and I was like, God, I know that you had him say that for me. He said, God would never punish you for prioritizing you. I looked up, I said, and that's the thing that's been happening. It's like I'm getting more confidence as I walk. I would have wished that he would have gave me all the confidence and then I would have came out. But no, he gave me just enough to be like, this is me, come out the boat. Yep, you're coming the right way. Let's come here. I'm like, okay, so what's going to happen? And I want details. I want what the budget's going to look like going forward. Because, like, what happened? Because I don't really... But it's bigger than that. It's bigger than trying to fulfill all your dreams, fulfill all the things that you have for you. Because the Bible says he already has a plan for you. So I kind of don't want to override his plan with what I have in mind. I completely relinquish whatever it is that I may have had in mind for exactly what God has for my purpose. Period. I'm going for a perfected plan. Perfected. Because I want to feel and I want to experience the abundantly and exceedingly, all you can ever ask for. I want all that. Eat, sign me up. Bink, like it's ready. You understand? So I almost want to ask you, is God calling you to do something that in and of yourself, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, really, I don't know about that. Are you kind of halfway in between obedience? For a good cause, right? I mean, it makes sense. You got bills, you got kids, but what did God say? Because he would have never called you to do something if he knew that what he gave you was going to suffer. You see what I'm saying? So for me, it was leave. And I did exactly that. And I said, I'm going to document every piece of this. Because it will be so beneficial to wait a year and be like, guess what? I didn't say nothing, but a year ago I was here, but now look, no. I want to give you real life as I'm walking and be like, realistically, not nervous. And I'll tell you why. The nervousness dissipated a long time ago when it was like, well, you can keep going this way. And I was like, bruh, I'm tired. I feel weighed down, uninspired. Like it was like you can continue to eat that, or you can go somewhere where you'll be fulfilled, but you don't really know what it is yet. I was like, that way, because like you can continue. Yeah, no, not doing it, and that has made it where there is no worry for me. There is no worry because I know in and of myself I would have continued to endure because I have responsibilities. I would have continued to do so. But for me to walk out the boat is like, God, you are in complete control of providing provision where you called me. I don't have to think of a plan. I don't have to hurry up and I'm not doing any of that. So I am walking clearly on purpose, in my purpose. And so I quit. And I'm going to post a video every week just giving you the new perspectives and whatever he gives me, I'm going to give. Because I honestly feel like he's raising up a people that are no longer okay with not being okay. I really feel that. So I'm going to be the example. I'm going to get out the boat. But this time, I'm not sinking. Period. And that's on Peter. But all right, listen. I'm going to go ahead and let me go. We'll talk later. Later.